Hello and welcome to Everyday People, Tuesdays at 2 for the fourth week in a row. My name is Vaibhav. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This week's guest is Jain and they'll introduce themselves shortly. But before that, I just want to give out a little bit of self-advertisement. I've also been publishing a blog each week, every Sunday at my Substack. And this week I published a short story called Salabar's Fascinating Library Trip. If you're so inclined, please do click on the link in the description to go read that short story. But for now, here's Everyday People with Jain. After extensive testing, we are finally recording the actual podcast. Welcome, Jain, to my show. You've been here before, but never as a solo act. How are you feeling today, and how's your day going?
My day is going fine, and I feel great, Vaibhav, that I'm talking to you on podcast. We usually have conversations off the camera or off recording usually. Finally, we are doing this, so very happy.
Yeah, you're my best friend, and it's been a while since we. This honestly should have happened about 30-40 episodes ago, but it's okay. I always ask my guests one question to start off with, and I'll ask you, who are you, what do you do, and what is your current side project?
My name is Jain, full name Navratan Jain, and I live in Berlin right now. I'm 30 years old, and my day job is I work with numbers, create reports and tools and things like that. But what I'm really passionate about is I'm a stand-up comic, and recently I finished a set of 3 shows known as Becoming a Berliner, which we did in this beautiful warehouse, completely independent. And so we had a lot of stand-up comedians coming and performing. And it was a great experience for all the comics, audience. And the final show was also an art exhibition, which was organized by my friend Miltos. And so we had a stand-up comedy show along with the art exhibition, surrounded by beautiful paintings and art pieces. It was really nice. And so this is what I've finished recently. So I'm one of those people who have come on your show and letting you all know what I've recently finished. And I'm really proud and happy about it.
Your show Becoming a Berliner is something that you've been working on for a long time. It's gone through many iterations. I helped out with the poster at one point, but then you drew the thing yourself. Tell me more about Becoming a Berliner. Where does that name come from, and what is your hope for the show as you continue to sort of experiment with it?
The reason I even thought about this show was because I wanted to just talk about my Berlin experience. I live in this city, Berlin, and it has some sort of a cultural vibe, which I'm trying to capture in this show. And like people who come to this show are able to like know a little bit more nuance and things about Berlin. And of course, we are doing it in form of stand-up comedy. So that's the whole theme of the show. And then how we are usually producing it is we are trying to find these unique Berlin venues where we do it. So currently we are doing it in a warehouse, but before that, once we did it in a cellar of a bar, which was also a very, I would say, culturally relevant and historic bar, Meine Hausumse. And we even did a show once in an art gallery. Before that, we did once a show in a parking lot, and it was turned into a really beautiful outdoor set, our show. And so as of now,
you guys put up a stage in the parking lot, like a full stage.
There was already some sort of a stage. We changed the look and which added few things, and we made it more suitable for what we were trying to create as a stand-up comedy platform.
So I don't remember what year it was, but I remember going with you in Bangalore when you had just started uh, trying to be a stand-up comic, and we had gone to a few like open mics for you to experiment with. Tell me about your stand-up journey, where it started, where this desire came from for you. Like, why do you want to be a stand-up comedian?
Let me first address what you were talking about when you came with me in Bangalore when I went for an open mic. I think it must be 2015.
17, 15? Okay.
It might be 2015 or maybe 16. I'm not sure. It might be 16 even. So during that time, I had just quit my job because I wanted to try my hand at stand-up comedy and YouTube. So I moved to Bangalore, and because I knew in Bangalore there is a open mic stand-up comedy scene, and you can do a spot every night, as far as I had understood from my research on internet and Facebook. That usually every 5 times a week there is an open mic in Bangalore where you can go and yeah, you get a few minutes and you can do stand-up comedy. So that was my plan. So I moved to Bangalore and I was staying at your place, I remember. And when I started going to those mics, I think you came with me on my second or third mic,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
First of all, I realized these mics were like 2 or 3 hours away from your house on in that Bangalore traffic. And I used to get stuck in that traffic all the time and taking these cabs, which will cost me like 300, 400, 500 euros. Um,
Rupees.
sorry, I mean rupees. 300,
300 euros.
like 300 to 500 rupees.
Yeah.
I remember in Bangalore, I did 5 mics.
Mm.
And every time I traveled like for hours and spent a lot of money. I didn't know if I kept spending money in this way on just cabs. How many months can I last with my fund? And if I chose to take bus, I think the time was just the time to reach any mic in evenings or night was just outrageous in Bangalore. And
And
that was my experience I remember in Bangalore.
and how tired you would have been if you had taken the bus. At that time, I don't think the metro would have been accessible to like the
There's no
location.
metro
Yeah,
there.
we were going to.
There was hardly one which had started, but there was literally zero days.
Were you living with me in my 1 BHK at that time? Because then it would have been end of 2015 or early 2016.
I helped you move there. I remember,
Yes, you
and
did.
I was there for a few days, and that's it.
You helped move that huge fridge up 4 flight of stairs. Yeah, that very thin flight of stairs. So, uh,
Um, Bangalore was slowly becoming into this place where people had started creating these matchbox kind of apartments, and your apartment was also one of them.
yeah, it
And
was a matchbox only.
I hated that kind of buildings where they were just created for monetary purposes and
But
least comfort.
but that means 2015. That means you've been practicing stand up for 8 years. So let me ask you the question जो मेरे को actually तेरे से पूछना है. Are you good after 8 years of stand up comedy? Are you good?
First of all, my stink of doing stand-up comedy in 15 and 16, 2015 and 16, was not much. I remember I did five nights in Bangalore. First one in Mumbai, 5 in Bangalore, and then maybe four or five more. Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 more in Hyderabad. I think my tally was like 12 or 13, maybe 13. when I had come to Germany first. So that I had done 13 mics total. That's it.
Which is nothing.
But which is nothing.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, October 30th, I moved to Berlin, and then I had already made up my mind that yes, I will be taking it very seriously. And from then on, I've tried to take as many mics as possible every week, and slowly it has gone up. I started around doing 1 or 2 mics uh, a week, but then slowly my stats have reached like on an average 4 to 5 a week.
Every week for how many years?
4 years, I would
4 years.
say.
So that means approximately somewhere in the range of 600 to 800 open mics you've done.
Yeah, yeah,
When you hear
yes.
that, when you hear me say that number, that you've done like 6 to 800 open mics, like how do you reflect on that? Does it make you feel anything? Yeah, nahi, it's normal. Makia.
This 6 to 800 is for all the years, right?
Yeah.
Like till now, like 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels first of all good. And in my head, when I think about it, I would think like, oh, number should have been even higher. But because the whole point of doing these mics is, first of all, you do it because you enjoy.
Yeah.
You like telling your jokes and stories and putting them in a very interesting, fun way. And then when you do it, you learn more. And the whole goal is to get better. And I think just like any other skill, the 10,000 hour rule also applies here. And but if I look at that I'm very far away. I am very far away from that. But I can see I have had a drastic improvement from where I started. And I would say on my day, I am really good.
Yeah. See, 10,000 hours is for mastery. We say after you do 10,000 hours, you become a master. But to become good enough to earn money, you don't need 10,000 hours. You need a few hundred. And you have that. And you are earning money from your stand up now. Um, do you want to pursue this full time, or is this something that will remain like a hobby for you while you pursue other things?
Right now, we are in September 25th, I suppose.
Yeah,
To
20.
20. I've currently, in past 1 year, made up my mind that, okay, I will be taking a break from my day job and will be putting in time and energy full time in stand-up comedy and video and artistic projects. And yeah, so I'm taking it very seriously as much as I can. And I would also like to do it full time, which is most likely the upcoming year.
And you mentioned video. I know that you've been practicing video editing. I saw a couple of the vlogs that you made. I review everything that you make since I'm your best friend. Um, Talk to me about, like, having to develop these ancillary skills. Like stand up is one set of skills, but then audio editing, video editing, recording, graphic design, poster making, all of these are like these extra skills that we all have access to nowadays. Not everybody practices them. You do, I do. Talk to me about like what it requires now to for like, if you have a dream, you need to put in the effort, and you're clearly putting in the effort. Talk to me about what kind of ancillary skills you have developed and what you're planning to develop going forward.
As you said, yes, I also believe in today's world, whenever you start your own project, your own artwork or a business or any journey you go on, where at first you are starting by yourself, you need to have these certain skills to carry your project forward. So, for example, if you need to design a poster, you need to design a poster for your show or for your podcast. You need to make a banner. If you need to draw something, you need to write something, you need to calculate something, you need to uh, put a plan. So, all these skills you slowly learn. And yeah, and in the end, I just look at, let's say, Photoshop or Canva or Procreate or DaVinci Resolve, whatever I end up using, these are just tools. And just like how you learn to work with the pencil, you also learn to work with these tools once you start playing around with them. You still need to be creative and artistic to actually convey your message or what you are trying to build via that tool. This other point I would like to highlight is a lot of the skills which you learn while mastering one of the skills or tools, uh, you are able to transfer those learnings also on other tools.
Yeah.
So, for example, some silly thing which other person won't see. For example, I work a lot on Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets
Mm-hmm.
in my work,
Yeah, in your day job.
in my day job. And I can tell you there is a lot of things which are similar in making a Excel sheet and doing acrylic painting.
Okay.
Uh, yes, and you only know when you start doing it. And you need to have the experience of both the worlds to understand, okay, this thing which I learned in that, you can also transfer in other.
Can
I will give you one example which you will know. You know Photoshop and Procreate.
yeah.
You work, one basic concept of both of these tools is the layers.
Yes.
So you learn that you are able to separate layers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and you are playing with layers and you're adding one layer on top of layer to make your art piece or that project more specific, and
Yeah. Give it some
the
depth.
thing comes out, you're adding depth.
Yeah.
Same thing happens when you're painting. So what you do is you do first layer, and then on top of it there's a second layer, and then the third layer, and then as you keep putting in more and more layers, there's more depth, more detailing, and it becomes more alive. Of course, painting and Photoshop or Procreate are easier to compare because they both are, all three of them are
Artistic.
visual
Yeah.
mediums. And that's why I wanted to say Excel sheet, because that's a person won't really think about how an Excel sheet can also be
Yeah. I mean,
similar to.
if you think about it, working in layers is nothing but essentially dividing or breaking up your project into pieces, which an Excel sheet is also about, like dividing your data into pieces and like putting it in a way that makes sense. So often what we're doing is just rearranging information, right? um, you talk about these tools often, I find that people that I talk to, especially people who want to create but haven't started, are paralyzed by the complexity of these tools. What would you say is your top piece of advice on getting started with one of these tools and just trying to learn and pick it up?
I would always say start with the easiest tool, the tool which you find the most easiest and comfortable to use.
Mm-hmm.
Use it to its maximum extent, the limit you can reach from that tool, and then automatically you will want something which can serve the other need you have. So, for example, let's say you start with a normal pencil.
Yeah.
You are sketching, you're drawing, but then it's just black. There is only some limited ways of shading you can do. You can only, like make it darker to a particular point. There is no colors really. Or let's say if you start editing on Windows
Movie maker.
Maker,
Yeah.
you can only make certain cuts. You can only add certain effects. But once you understand how that tool works, you can move on to the next one. So maybe you can next time when you are already comfortable with the pencil, you can move to color pencils, or you can try watercolor on top of it. Or let's say if you are already comfortable with Windows Media, Windows Movie Maker, you can move on to maybe something more easier, something more complicated, but still not, let's say, Adobe Premium Pro or something like that. Maybe
You use Luma
Luma
Fusion.
Fusion or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there are so many tools available, and many of them are free. DaVinci Resolve is free, Canva is free. Like, there is no excuse today for people to not start creating.
yeah.
Uh, in your experience in the last few years, just creating, um, you know, I've edited for you. You've started to edit for me a little bit. Um, do you find that these are great ways to supplement your income? Like, now you're trying to build a career as a stand-up comedian, you're earning some money from it but not enough to sustain your lifestyle. Talk to me a little bit about the market that is available with these sort of skills for you to then supplement your income.
Of course, you can take freelance work if you have these skills. But my approach on this is slightly different at this point. The reason I want to do this as of now is so that I can create for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm only at this moment, I'm only trying to do the things which inspire me, which I am into. So I draw what I feel like, I joke what I joke, whatever I feel at that moment, and I tell stories from my own experiences.
Hmm.
So currently, I'm spoiled as an artist, which I fucking love, that I'm not trying to rent out any of these skills or hobbies or passions which I have. But at some point, maybe I might have to, but we will see. Hopefully, still then I can make decision from my heart. And currently, I would say a few of the things where I make some money is like, of course, producing shows. There is a possibility of always, if you are doing a performance art, to sell tickets and have a bar counter and sell drinks and food, things like that. So that's one of the source. And then you can draw for people if you want to. Usually, I don't do any of that. The only source I have is either production or I do comedy spots for showcases and events, and they pay me for that. And yeah, so these are the usual ways I'm making money out of my stand-up comedy and other skits.
So we've been talking for about 23 minutes, and I want to put a pin in our conversation about your stand-up career and then switch over to other topics. But before I switch over, I just wanted to get your last. You can speak directly to the audience if you want to either promote your upcoming show in Berlin. I don't know how many people from Berlin will listen to this podcast, but if you want to promote your show, or if you just want to give some general advice or general a message to whoever's listening.
It's completely fine if people can't come to my show in Berlin, but they can find me on Instagram. My handle is I am Nav Jain. I put out a lot of comedy videos and stand-up comedy clips, and I try to express myself on Instagram also. So that's also just a medium. So that's a medium of expression or a tool, if you want to call it.
Yeah, and if you want to check out Nav's work, it is Nav. If you want to check out Nav's work, as he said, his Instagram is I am Navjan. It's also on the screen right now. Please do follow Nav there and start a conversation. See if you like some of his clips. We put out about 7 or 8 of them a few months ago, and there's more clips coming up soon from more of his shows. Sorry, you were saying you wanted to say something.
And that's it. I would say no matter what you are into, you can put time and energy into it if you're passionate about it, and you pick up more skills, and it just keeps getting better. The only thing is you need to love and enjoy it. And Of course, you want external rewards, but if internally you are already content, hopefully the external will follow.
Wonderful. So now, just because I want to extend the podcast a little bit, like this has been a great conversation so far. Switching over to something that you did not expect to talk about, chess. We play approximately one game of chess every day. Um, our record is almost even. I think you have the slight edge. You are like 60-70% of the game, 60-65% of the games you win, 40-35% I win.
But I mean, like if you're going that particular about it,
Yeah, you want to check?
uh,
You want to check?
I can check
Let's
your
check.
stats.
A few moments later.
A total of 108 games against you,
Okay.
out of which I have won 60, lost 44, and we had a draw of 4 games. So I have a 56% winning rate.
And I have a 41%, better than I expected. Talk to me about chess. Like, why do we both enjoy it? ऐसा क्या है इसके बारे में that अपने को पसंद है? And now you can chill out. See, we are not talking about your career. अब तू थोड़ा relax होके बात कर.
Okay, if you say so.
What is it about chess that you like?
First of all, I think we both are competitive person. We have that competitive spirit. We enjoy competing in things to win. So we like board games. We like a lot of video games or even sports and things like that. So we are that individual. And then there is something about chess, the possibility of playing those pieces and those pawns in certain ways and combinations, and they having special abilities of how they move around, and the possibility of like next move. It's kind of very fascinating and intriguing to me, and I really love when you put me in some difficult situation and then I'm trying to think, okay, what will be the right answer, and will it be the right answer in after 4 moves also.
Yeah.
um,
Like, we are not specialists. We cannot memorize a full chess game. We cannot think 15-20 moves ahead. We think like 4-5 moves ahead. That's where we are. But and in today's game, I put Nav in a difficult situation, and then he got out of it, and he absolutely destroyed me. Absolutely destroyed me. So I think you're right. Like, as far as, I mean, we started using chess time because it was convenient, right? Like, you had 24 hours to make a move and everything. But nowadays when we play, we prefer to just play in one shot. It's boring now to wait for somebody to like do a move 1 hour later, and then you do a move 2 hours later and all that. We'll sit down for about 10-15 minutes. We'll finish off a game, and it just gives us that. I think it refreshes me, at least I feel. It's a great break from work. Does it refresh you as well?
yeah, it's a really good coffee shot to your head, because you need to wake up to make those moves and really think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you are mentally exhausted, then it can be draining to your head also. But if it's early in the day kind of, and you play one game of chess, and then you are active also.
Throughout this interview, like, I've noticed that whenever we talk about any of these things, right, there's always, you talk about the sharpness of the mind and like the internal world. As long as you feel good inside about your hobby or passion, then the external rewards will follow. You're also somebody who journals. I am somebody who journals. I don't need you to obviously tell me the contents of your journal, but tell me a little bit about this internal world and this content from this feeling of being okay on the inside, right? Like, can you give a little bit of advice to somebody as far as just building that internal world for yourself?
I think everybody should do. It's pretty much self therapy, and it does help you to put out the things which are on your head, in your head, either positive, negative, and yeah, it's an outlet. So I highly recommend it to everyone. And I would say it's very simple. I've even seen in movies some people do video blogs, or they write blogs, or people do audio journaling.
Hmm.
And some people like talking to their friends, some people do therapists, some people do coaches, some people talk to their priest. We all have been doing it for thousands of years in some way or the other. And I've just chosen my own way. So if you want to sit down and pray and talk to the God, I mean, you can do that also. I mean, nobody's stopping you. You just choose your medium.
Yeah, but choose a medium and express yourself, and that is where.
Yeah. It, it, it's not for anybody else. It's just for you. So, like, it doesn't matter how you choose to do it. For example, I know you do it digitally. I do it physically. So it doesn't matter. Some people do it orally. That's how it is.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's interesting you mentioned ki it's there are audio podcasts. Now I'm thinking of this idea where you could just make a WhatsApp group with yourself and just do audio recordings of your thoughts. And
when I came to Germany for the first time, I was living in Düsseldorf, and I was living with a really hot, beautiful model, and it was a Vege. She was not a pleasant person to live with, and I don't think she had too many close friends. But she always used to just keep sending these voice notes to somebody via her phone throughout the day, because I could hear that. And that was her way of journaling. I don't know whether she recorded it herself or was she sending it to her friend. She was just continuously doing those voice notes. And even then, I felt like I couldn't understand what she was telling, but it was in German and I didn't know, but I knew that she was always recording herself.
yeah,
And that's what she did, and that's what's her way of doing it. And it's exactly also what you are kind of talking about.
yeah. Okay, so I do want to call this podcast to a close. I think this has been a fantastic conversation. Before I close, any questions you have for me or any final thoughts you wanted to share?
It was a pleasant experience, and we talked about a lot of things in which, we tried to say 2 things or 3 things which we have learned in our own experiences, and it was fun.
Would you come back a third time on my podcast eventually?
Yes, in few years. Yes.
And that's all I wanted. And this is how you keep the show going. You ask people straight up, will you come on my show again? Also, I would love for you to recommend some guests. I would love to talk to somebody I don't know and do the interview with them for everyday people. But this has been an absolute pleasure, Nav. Thank you so much. Please close the show by telling the audience to subscribe and to anything that you want to say to the audience directly.
Guys, subscribe to whatever Webber is
Whatever.
providing you. It's Instagram, it's YouTube, it's TikTok, it's OnlyFans, whatever it is, just press the button. That's the important message.
Press the button. Subscribe to my OnlyFans. Nudes only. This has been amazing, Nav. Thank you so much.
Thank you.